Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this segment of One-on-One. I'm Martin False. Very pleased to have as my guest today Mr. Eugene Thibodeaux, an architect who has worked on many projects in the area, in the state, all over the place for that matter. And today we're going to find out some of those projects and what got him started on his great career. So stick around. Right after the break, Mr. Eugene Thibodeaux. One-on-One is brought to you by the Law Office of Waits and Downer. You can normally see people's profession and go, yeah, I could see that person being an architect. Some people are in professions where you go, I don't know how the heck they chose that, but you picked a profession that suited you pretty well, and I guess that's the reason why years later you have $763 million in projects. You loved playing around with figures and numbers and drawing lines. That was something you enjoyed to do, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Working as a consultant today, I still love drawing, and I still love coming up with alternate solutions to problems. Mm-hmm. And after the hurricane, we have to come up with some better ways to construct and make sure to try to follow the requirements for hurricane-protected buildings.
Everybody has a moment where doctors have a moment where if I ask them, what's the hardest surgery you ever had to do? What was the hardest project you ever faced, or most challenging, I should say?
When I was regional director of architecture for the Northeast region of the United States for Holiday Inns Incorporated, mm-hmm. I had a large region. I had the New York, Philadelphia, New York, Boston area, and I was based in Memphis, but the whole week I was out. I would have a staff meeting on Monday, and then for the rest of the week I was out trying to coordinate all these jobs in the different cities. So I guess that was the hardest. That's when I learned about new technology. We had technology where we could actually tumble a building, and I could see from the bottom the problems that we might have if a mechanical or electrical conflict occurred. And after I saw that, I'd circle it and I'd give it to the staff and have them correct the measure while I was in other cities.
When you say tumble a building, you mean 3D sort of?
3D and rotate it.
Wow, yeah.
So, and that way we could see every part of the building.
And that was high tech back then.
High tech
Super
back
high
then,
tech.
yes.
Today
right.
It's probably common, you know.
Right,
so,
correct.
but it gave you an opportunity to see things from a different perspective.
Yes.
I guess you didn't learn it that way.
No, I did it with the T-square and the triangle.
Which probably gave you an advantage as you moved on because you knew how the basics were. So you were able to take that knowledge, and I'm sure it enhanced your career being on a national board like that.
It did, and as I was concerned about the projects that I worked on, this was a larger venue than I was used to. But I think I combined flying and architecture real well, and I want to thank Karki Fornoff mm-hmm. because when I was learning how to fly, Karki and I would fly in his 410 all around the United States. And an interesting fact, while I was practicing in Memphis, Tennessee, I got a call from the lieutenant captain of the Blue Angels. Wow. And he said, Mr. Thibodeaux, your friend Karki Fornoff said that you were in Memphis. And we're getting ready to fly in Millington, which is just north of Memphis. And he said, you would entertain us for the weekend. And I said, Captain, it'll be my pleasure.
The Blue Angels.
the
Such
Blue
a,
An-
my
the Blue
dad used to
Angels.
take us to the air base, and
Right.
I was so enthralled with the Blue Angels. I used to draw the jets during class. My teachers are hearing this for the first time. I would draw the Blue Angel jets, and we had the Thunderbirds too.
Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
The Thunderbirds, that's interesting. The Thunderbirds, while I was in the Kiwanis Club, as Key Club advisor, I knew most of the legislators. And I got 5 scholarships for the Key Clubs to Military Academy. Mm-hmm. One of them I got a scholarship for was Ricky Hammonds, because Charlie had asked me to get, so I did get him, recommended him to the legislator. He got a scholarship to the Naval Academy, and later on became a Top Gun.
Yeah.
And
flew in the movie Top Gun.
And flew in the movie Top Gun, right.
Wow, that's incredible.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
There's so many people you've worked with over the years, and you worked with a lot of big shots. I know Governor Edwards was one of them, but at some points, I heard about some of the meetings where you had to say, okay, no, we're not going down that road because that's not the right thing to do. You've had several of those, didn't you?
I did, and I worked under Edwin administration, and I was on the Board of Architectural Examiners, and there came a point where construction was not going as according to Hoyle. Too much money was being wasted, and I was able to use the administration to get reform legislative measures passed. Mm-hmm. And it was legislature where if an architect did a job, after he did the job and was a large enough, we had to sign 2 notarized affidavits. One saying that we had not given a kickback to a politician, mm-hmm. and the other one that we had divested our interest from a material supply company or construction company. And I come from a millwork family out of Lafayette, Louisiana, and I had to divest my interest in order to design for the people of the state of Louisiana. Mm-hmm. Didn't mind doing it because it's the best way to do it, and get better bids. You get better contractors to bid on your projects. Mm-hmm.
But you held steady, and in those days, a lot of people were, flying by the hip and cutting deals and everything. I'm sure in some circles it wasn't very popular for you to do that.
Correct. It's just like something was telling me that I had to do it.
Right.
And as I said, the Lord led me in a way where I was able to do it. And I didn't do it. As I said, the Lord does everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm here just to do His bidding. And if I see an opportunity to do good, then I will try to do it.
$763 million is a lot of projects, and it doesn't just happen overnight. You have to develop a pretty good reputation along the way, and you had that.
I did, and it was due to my colleagues and a lot of people, and I want to thank the people that have helped me, especially my family, my beautiful daughters, who is my best creation, yeah. And my son-in-laws and all my immediate family. So right. They've helped tremendously.
And everyone's successful.
Everyone's successful. Yes.
That's got to make you proud.
It does. It does. It makes me more humble. Makes me more wanting to thank God more, to try to do more. And I'm asking Him every day, what do you want me to do?
But how did you ever let Angelique marry that Barker fella? Of course, I say that, Jess. Mike's a very, very dear friend.
I know, he's your dear friend. And
yeah. Of course, Randall grew up in Mulberry
Yeah,
with me, and we
right.
played on the baseball team together.
All right. Both of them are fine businessmen,
And then Todd Woolley.
and Todd.
Yeah,
and
so
Todd,
all your daughters made pretty good choices.
They sure did. They sure did.
Todd was an okay athlete in high school. He'll also love that I said that. But anyway, so your career starts blossoming when you did H.L. Bourgeois, you did some things. When did you know, as an architect, that I made it?
I don't know that. You never know that.
Okay.
It's just like a doctor or a lawyer. We're always looking for the right way to do it. And we've got so many circumstances that are thrown at us in order to try to to rectify the situation and have everybody, to have it a plus, plus, plus situation. So I'm still there working as a consultant, and anybody that needs my services, the state or even the federal government, if they need it.
Were there many nights where you just were turning in bed saying, I gotta figure out this problem. What's the solution? And you're sitting there at night going, you're running it through your mind, and all of a sudden, boom, it hits you.
Many nights, Martin, many nights, and that's when I started praying. In Memphis, some friends of mine, one was a contractor, the other was a executive director of McNeil Companies. McNeil Companies was the one that invented the Courtyard Marriott. I got a chance to design their national headquarters in Memphis. And both the contractor and the Spence Ray was the name of the executive director of McNeil. Farbus was the contractor. Both of these were highly religious people. And I got a chance with both of them to do church complexes in India and Africa. And these people would work in their particular trade during the year, and in the summertime they'd go and donate their time to build this. So I found that this is what our purpose in life should be. You know, if I'm going to design something, I want it to be used for something. I saw that these good, wonderful people were able to do this, and it encourages me to see people like David Fake, you know, do the same thing and bring people to Christ.
Yeah, in Haiti, tremendous project. There's no doubt about it.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Let me ask you this. So, do you remember your first presentation? Because I never forget. I had Mr. Dickie Barker, who, of course, you know very well, on the show yesterday, and I was thinking about my first meeting with Mr. Dickie. 25 years old, selling advertising, walking in his office and going, oh my God, that's Mr. Dickie Barker. And as you grow through your career, you realize that the relationships they become more calm, they become more normal. But that first presentation, just like a lawyer has to go in court the first time. What was your first presentation?
I remember my first presentation was at Tulane University when I was trying to explain my project to teachers, and I had some famous teachers. I had a Charles LaMantia that did the Presbytere building, and he also did Tavern on the Green. He was one of my teachers. Well, the first presentation I made, I was there using my hands and verbally speaking like this, and because I had a thick accent from Lafayette, LaMantia said, pardon? Every time I'd get 4 or 5 words, he'd say, pardon? So I finally got to the finish, and I said, Mr. LaMantia, why did you keep saying pardon? He said, Mr. Thibodeaux, I couldn't understand a word you were saying. So I learned at that time that I have to speak fluently.
Yeah.
I have to speak distinctly when I'm talking to somebody. And also I found out that there's a lot of people from down the bayou that don't understand the terminology that we use in order to get the right meaning. So it's an experience. You need to go through failures to learn successes. And that's the road that my Lord has kept me on.
Yeah. I bet that's not a place you go. I bet when you walked in here to do this interview, and you've been in here before at HTV, but most people sit down in this chair that I interview and they look up and they see all the beams and they go, oh, that's nice. But I bet you look at it and go, all right, how's the load being carried across and the
Absolutely.
pipe? You always analyze it, aren't you?
Yes. Well, I use structural engineers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have to use expertise in order to find, because there's a lot of problems in buildings, and especially renovations to old buildings like
Right.
you had.
Mm-hmm.
I try to help and make sure that that all the columns are there, the beams, and they're connected properly.
Me and your son-in-law, Mike Barker, and we have a classmate named Rick DuPont, who's also an engineer.
Yeah,
And he
right.
does a lot of analytics. So every time I hang out with Rick and I bring him to one of my projects, there's a quiet period where he's just looking around and he's not saying anything, and I always go, uh-oh, the gears are turning. I always go, okay, did we pass or did we fail? Is that why y'all go into engineering or architecture, or does having that curriculum sort of bring you down that road?
Having the curriculum brings us down the road.
Okay.
And as I said, it's a day-to-day process. Sometimes you think that you have so many problems that will never be solved. And that's why you have to make every meeting. That's why you have to return every phone call, even if it's not a pleasant call.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned that from Edwin Edwards, to return every phone call,
Mm-hmm.
to take everything that people throw at you and try to solve it.
What was he like? I interviewed him a few times, but I wasn't on the inside. Y'all sort of all helped Edwin Edwards in your own way, I guess, get where he was. But what was it like when you'd sit down with him on a professional job discussion, I guess, for that matter?
Martin, he was the best administrator I've ever worked for, because once you got his word, then you didn't have to worry about him turning, or like a lot of politicians do. They will give you the word, but they'll give everybody else the word. You can't write the situation that way. So I have to give him that credit. He had that gift that a lot of people don't have. He was able to get factions working together for the good of the whole.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm. This one-on-one program has been brought to you by the law offices of Waits and Downer.